So this is behind the scenes. Shall I do a periscope of this as well?
How many times do you want to be on camera?
Loads.
Thought so. Thought so.
Hello everyone. We are 4 minutes away from going live, but I'm tempted. Yeah, cup of tea behind the scenes. So Alyssa has gone for tea. And hello everyone. If you are watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us. If you're watching on Periscope, say hi to everyone. This is what I get to see. Hello Carol. That's Mark. That's Michael. And that's an empty screen where Alyssa will be sitting. 3 minutes and counting. So this is going to be a slightly more polished graphic next week, but this is what I'm looking for. What I'm going to be doing is putting images from San Diego Comic-Con on the graphic. And I'm also going to be tagging people and letting people, sort of like attributing where the pictures come from. If you want to submit a picture for this kind of rolling, kind of like countdown for the Hangout, you're more than welcome to do so. Send it to Englishman SDCC. Send it on the Twitter. Put a name, what you would like it to be attributed to. Any cosplay, any pictures that you took at Comic-Cons. Doesn't have to be last year either. It can be sort of like whenever. You're more than welcome to jump in on that. Any pictures that you want to send, we'd love to see them. And I'm going to put them on the countdown. I'm going to have it nicely graphicked up, or slightly smoother. So there we go. So if you want to jump in on that, we're going to be putting pictures on, and I'm going to change them week in, week out. So we're going to have a whole gallery of pictures that people have taken for the countdown, 5 minutes before we go live on air. It's not too bad, is it? We have ourselves 3 guests. We're hoping we're going to get another one, which is Tara from the Geekiary. We'll see what happens with that. Sorry, just to let you know, Alyssa, we're on Periscope as well. So I'm doing a behind the scenes. This is kind of like my little setup. Although it's a very large laptop, isn't it? It's very good for watching porn on. And now I'm getting disgusted faces from my other guests. Thank God this isn't going to make the audio version, huh? Okay.
Moving along. Moving along.
We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. Do get people involved. Get them on the Hangouts. We're sharing the links up on Twitter and on Google+.
Okay.
Do jump in and let everyone know we're going live in about 45 seconds. And yeah, once again, for the countdown, let's see if we can get some pictures in. Send them in to Englishman SDCC on the Twitter, and we'll get them on the graphics for next week. Should be good. And we'll see you on the Hangout in about 30 seconds' time.
Ooh, year one.
Year one.
Year one.
Yes.
Non-variant.
I can't wait till we actually go live so I can show people this fez. I really, really can't. It's going to be so cool. Okay. Bear with me. We'll turn that off. We should be live on air. Hello there, and welcome to A Cup of Tea with an Englishman in San Diego. I have my tea this week. Oh, thank goodness it's been so long since I'm actually going to be trying my best to enforce, as it were, that we have people having a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego, or coffee. Martin kind of broke that rule last week. He had coffee. I'll let it slide just this once. I know that Alyssa's got her cup of tea as well. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm well. My Woot Crate came from Woot Crate. We got our Venom cup. I thought I should, model it for everybody today.
Yeah, that is. Help me out. character, please. It's
Venom?
Venom, of course it is. I wanted to say Spawn. Why did I have Spawn in my head?
I have
Then
no
again,
idea.
I'm a Spawn fan, but then again, I've been typing up about Spawn this week because I'm a fan of Spawn and Witchblade, and that kind of universe. And Witchblade is getting a new kind of revamp in the next kind of month. Do check that out. It's called Switch. It's looking like a very good book. Anyway, I digress. That looks like it's going to be a lot. That's looking like it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, how are you doing, Alyssa? What have you been up to?
Well, it's a lot of mundane stuff, in real life stuff. The forum is abuzz about panels for New York Con, Walking Dead, still waiting on to see whether or not we get into the Walking Dead show. Looking forward to the new TV season, just caught up on Legends from last year, the Sean Bean show, which got renewed. That's coming back November 1st, and yeah, nothing like being 9 months too late to the show, but looking forward to that. No Walking Dead on Sunday. No Fear of Walking Dead on Sunday. Kind of lamenting AMC's decision to not show it on a holiday weekend.
Ah, right. Yeah. If you're watching in the US, happy Labor Day.
Tomorrow.
Whatever that is. I don't know. I'm from the UK. I have no. What is Labor Day? What exactly?
It's kind of like bank holiday for you guys last week.
Yeah, okay. So it's an excuse.
It's an excuse for holiday. Absolutely.
We like excuses for holidays. No problem with those. Excellent. Well, in that case, happy Excuse Day. Have yourself a great weekend, and whatever you're doing today, hope you have a good time. Hopefully it involves something which may not involve tea. Hopefully it's something a little bit more, yes, who knows. Right, I have also just realised that I've sent Alyssa a graphic to put up on her screen, and it's actually the one from the Jim Lee episode, where we were giving away a Jim Lee thing, so I may just have to very quickly send her the revised one. So
I'll take that down, but we are going to be giving away, if people are interested in some, in honor of tonight's last ship. We have Are You Immune? This was from the last ship panel in June on TNT. Size medium. Later on this show, Leonard has promised to get rid of these T-shirts for me.
Lovely. Hey, listen, if we can give any kind of freebies away, I'm a happy bunny. Listen, I do know that we've been speaking to Cameron Duell, and I know that for about a year I've been teasing that Funko are going to be coming on. He is. He's not only has he promised that he's going to be coming on, he's looking forward to it. Okay, he's going to be joining us the week before New York Comic Con, and he's going to be talking about the exclusives that they're bringing, considering that I think they're doing a very similar thing which they did with San Diego, which was a whole host of exclusives for New York Comic Con, because it's their first time that they're going. So he's looking forward to it. He wants to share, and I think there's going to be some giveaways as well, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. Looking forward to it. So yeah. Oh no, I'm not fingers crossing on this. Because that'll just jinx it. That'll just jinx it. It's happening. There. Right. Just put it out
the one I'm looking forward to is the comic book one that we're going to have on the 13th with the CGC, the lady from CGC, Brittany. I've forgotten her last name, but that's my personal. I'm not so much interested in the Funko, although I will take freebies. Freebies are good.
Fair enough. Okay, while I now go over to my other guests, I'll let Alyssa change her graphic on her screen, because I have sent her another one. And we have ourselves somebody who's joined us kind of last minute, and it's great that he's been able to say hello. Hello, Mark Serby, how are you?
I'm alright, thanks, Leonard. Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
How's your, because it's been a couple of weeks since we've had you on the Hangouts, how's it been? What have you been up to?
It's not been too bad actually. Past week, yesterday I was in central London at Forbidden Planet, which is obviously a huge comic book and just a general massive nerd shop that sells figures and everything else, comics, graphic novels. So we'll talk about that in a bit, obviously, when we talk about Force Fridays, because they were telling me some bits. And then earlier in the week, I was at the second episode screening of Hand of God, which obviously was at Comic Con, and they brought all the cast over here to England. So Ron Perlman was there, Dana Delaney, Alona Tell, and the writer and producer as well. And it was all in a church in central London. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was kind of fun. It was nice and fun.
Is this for a second episode?
Yeah, that was for a second episode. And obviously, all 10 episodes are now online on Amazon to watch. But because the first episode was already on Amazon Prime to watch, they said, well, we can't show you 9 because otherwise you're going to be here throughout the night, so we'll just show you episode 2 and then there'll be a Q&A after.
Very nice. Considering that that kind of implies to me that Ron Perlman has been here now for 3 weeks, which kind of tells me that he really, really likes the UK. He obviously likes coming here and enjoying himself, so we're happy with that. So excellent. You're going to have to give us some impressions about that, the 2 episodes that you've seen.
Well, I've actually seen 8 episodes.
Oh, you've seen them. Oh, you've been watching them on. Okay.
Oh, yes. Because I was at the Comic Con panel as well. Saw the preview, the pilot episode before I went to San Diego. Loved it. I mean, it's Ron Perlman, you know, and who doesn't love him? Garrett Dillahunt's in it as well. I think he's great. My friend Andre Royo, name drop, Clank. Yes, I know. But, you know, it's just a great cast, so I was really looking forward to it. 2 more episodes to go. They're being done tonight.
Excellent. Okay, like I say, we'll come back and we'll get a kind of a review or an impression of what you've seen so far. But let's now share with the Hangout the Fez. My word. So how are you doing? This is Michael Leventhal. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm good. It's a Sunday afternoon and getting over Force Friday, preparing for New York Comic Con, C2E2 news a little bit this coming week, and, you know, that's a lot going on. I don't unfortunately have, you know, a cup of tea this week, but I do have my beer, so, you know.
You have beer. Yeah,
beer.
It's Labor Day. That's fine.
I have my pint, yes.
One day we will do a Talking Comic Con After Dark, and it will be a shot of something with an Englishman in San Diego. I'm more than happy with that. I think we may have to do that on the Sunday of San Diego Comic Con, because that is traditionally the day that I get completely wrecked. So yes, we may have to do something along those lines.
Having talked to you that Monday morning, yes, you did. I was amazed you pulled the show off.
Oh my
on
word.
Monday. Yes, seriously.
No, it's when I abandoned you halfway through the show. Saying, look, I've got to get some water. Look, you talk for 20 minutes. I'm going to go get some water. Yeah, I was barely holding on, but no, that was fun. Okay, so we were going to have a 4th guest, which is Tara from the Geekiary, who is currently at DragonCon. We were going to have a bit of a review and a report of DragonCon. From what I'm kind of seeing on social media, it's kind of there's no real big headlines coming out of DragonCon, unless, of course, you're spotting anything different, or if indeed you're at DragonCon and you're watching this now. Number one, thank you very much indeed for your dedication. By all means, jump in on the Q&A and let us know what is happening when it comes to DragonCon. But I'm not kind of seeing too much in the way of headlines. The only headline that I have been seeing is the one that Mark has mentioned. Go on then, Mark, which one have you spotted?
Yeah, no, listen, it was just by chance I noticed it. I don't know what you mean. I saw John Barrowman, who's wearing a TARDIS dress and some very nice red shoes, and I've got to say, he clearly gave a very nice twirl in it as well, and that, for me, was the perfect headline from that place. I was like, listen, if you can't get down with that, well, we don't want to be friends.
Fair enough. Admittedly, you kind of have to ask the question, is because, obviously, John Barrowman is Scottish, and they are traditionally known for wearing dresses. Which means that if he was doing a twirl was he traditionally wearing the Scottish attire of anything underneath said apparel? At which point, did the DragonCon audience get to see Little John? I'm curious to see. I don't know if I mean, thankfully nobody's tweeted those pictures if that was the case.
Hold on, I'll check. Hang on. I've got a good zoom on this phone.
John, it's not that cold.
I've been seeing amazing pictures out of DragonCon. While he's checking for a close-up picture, so to speak. Yeah, you went there.
Yeah, I know.
But I have seen some really cool pictures out of DragonCon. The parade looked amazing, just people lining the streets. The cosplay, comparatively to San Diego, I have to say, if the pictures are any indication, the cosplay is up a notch to San Diego.
Seeing that, absolutely.
Yeah.
I made that comment about San Diego Comic-Con on the Monday after, where it didn't feel like there was a great representation of cosplay at Comic-Con at San Diego this year. It did seem kind of muted.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, DragonCon, I mean, we had the report and we kind of talked about it a couple of weeks back, and it is very much more a kind of lively event, and yeah, cosplay is part of that. And it does sound like it was. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of people have gotten dressed up, and yeah.
I think I'm going to have to leave the sun at home and go to DragonCon myself next year if I can possibly swing it. I got to get Kevin to hook me up with a decent hotel room.
Well, from what I've been hearing as well, DragonCon is also yes, leaving the kid at home is possibly a good idea. I mean,
especially
yes.
since he's been known to steal my beer.
Fair enough.
Oh, I said that on there.
Yes, you did. So yes, I agree. I mean, I'd really like to go to more North American cons. DragonCon is definitely on the agenda. WonderCon is on the agenda. New York City Comic Con, that kind of thing. But DragonCon, I think, yeah, I'd like to attend just because it sounds like such a giggle. It sounds like such a laugh to attend. So it's not in terms of like a convention like some others that we know of, where you're getting kind of news headlines from comics houses, from shows, from television, from wherever. It's more of fans coming together and bonding and having a great time. So no, it's looking like a lot of fun. I know that you go to a lot of cons, Michael, which are kind of like more like that, where you're having kind of the headlines kind of thing. Can you see yourself going to something like DragonCon?
Honestly, I've been told I should go to DragonCon. DragonCon and Gen Con kind of well, they're different, but like more not the mainstream shows. So yeah, I've thought about it. I'd like to do it. I hear it's a lot more not like fan run. It's like a lot smaller, a lot closer of a community. Like you've mentioned, the cosplay pics are just amazing, and it's a lot like sci-fi and fantasy stuff is very predominant there, and that's right up my alley. So yeah, I've thought about it. It's just a matter of when I could fit it in versus budget versus what else other shows I want to do.
I don't think I've been to an event like that where it's kind of a lot looser. I mean, I did. I kind of went to one this weekend. It was the International Comics Expo, also known as ICE, held in Birmingham over the yesterday and today. I wasn't able to go today, unfortunately, but I did go yesterday. Rather typically for me, today it's a glorious day here in the UK. Yesterday it was a little bit grey. There was some water in the air, but some great names showing up, and if you'll indulge me, I'll do a little bit of a review now of ICE. That's okay. Now I've launched into it. Basically, it's hey, might as well. Great convention that was being held in somewhere called the Studio, which is a meeting place in Birmingham. 4 floors of exhibition space inside the city. second, third, and fourth floor were all pretty much full with small press and independent artists on the second floor. Third floor was your artists, and upstairs was your special guests and also a couple of meeting spaces as well. Some great names involved showing up. Carlos Esquera and John Wagner, the creators of Judge Dredd, were on hand, which I got an Esquera sketch, which is always fun to see him work. So that was always fun. Also, there was one thing or one panel that really kind of interested me, because there's a new publishing house that's coming out called Aftershock. This is coming. I think it's Michael Metz. He's a former Marvel editor. He's done a lot of work for a number in the industry for a number of houses over the course of his career. But he was pretty much headhunted to create and become the major editor-in-chief for Aftershock, and he was on hand to talk about what they're going to be bringing in future. Some massive names. Neil Gaiman is going to be involved. We've got across the boards pretty much some pretty big headliners are going to be taking part in this, and we understand we're going to be getting the first kind of salvo of news about what Aftershock are going to be bringing next week. But it all starts in November, and what it really did seem like is a catch-all for quality creator-owned content.
Some of the talent there is Garth Ennis. I'm just reading off of a site. Jimmy Palamoni from Deadpool, Amanda Connor, Paul Jenkins, Batman, Spider-Man, Justin Jordan, Paul Hester. So that's a good lineup there.
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they come up with. I mean, the Neil Gaiman contribution is actually going to be part of an anthology book, which they're going to be bringing out. And I don't know of many publishers that are actually doing anthology books now of short stories. I mean, in the UK we only know of kind of 2000 AD, which is still the only anthology book that's still running. In the US, is there any anthology books that you can think of?
There's a couple. I think Dark Horse does one, but they generally don't get a lot of play. No. You know, they're not really very well received.
I think when you've got the talent roster that this has got, I think you may get a lot of people interested. So that looks really cool, and although it really did seem like they were kind of modeling themselves on the Image model, I did actually ask, because they were talking that they were going to be doing kind of like, if not erotica, but certainly kind of like more adult-themed books and horror books, which, if you know of most publishers, kind of struggle to put horror on their slate and fold it into the main publishing house. And I was wondering if they were going to have kind of something like a Aftershock After Dark, which is the question I put. And he turned around and said, yeah, I think you may want to copyright that. We'll have a chat afterwards. At which point, I have been online. I have checked that the Twitter handles are available. I may just sign it up anyway. But it's curious to see how they're going to run that into the main core. But Aftershock Comics is something that you may want to keep an eye on. The other people that were showing up at ICE were Robbie Morrison was on hand. Dave Gibbons was doing a panel and also talking about his work throughout his illustrious career. Charlie Adlard was on hand as well, although I'm not too sure if he was sketching or not, because when that man gets a pen in his hand, he can really throw out some incredible work, as any Charlie Adlard fans knows. I got to meet Geordie Belair for the first time, who is a colorist, does a lot of work with Declan Shavley. I'm a big fan, and she is an American that now lives in Ireland, and she's got a sense of humor to match. I'm a fan, and I was very much charmed by Geordie Belair. Very, very fun. And I think the highlight as well for me was Ian Churchill, who is an artist that has done work. A great book called Marine Man, if you want to check that out. which is a creator-owned book, and he also did a book called Revenger with Jonathan Ross, which has gone into its second volume. Very popular book, bit violent, but excellent work. And I approached Ian at the London Super Comic Con last year to do the artwork for the UK attendees group, and that was the Gandalf piece that I think I've shown on the Hangout before. We had the T-shirts, we all went out and we all wore them, but I got him a T-shirt as well, and I took it along and presented it to him, and he was over the moon to see his artwork on this T-shirt. So on a personal level, that was just a very big highlight. I will say for Ice, it's something that I will be going back to again, because it's very much a case of you have to know it's there. There's no passing trade, which means it's hardcore fans. There wasn't much footfall, or as much footfall as I was expecting on for a Saturday. But that's because everyone who was there were there to see specific people or to really get into new talent. So it was a very intense con, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm very much looking forward to going to the International Comics Expo next year. It was a well-organized event, and I've also put a feeler out to the guy that runs the event. I'm hopefully going to get him on a future hangout to talk about what it takes to put on a small con, or a con which I mean, it's internationally regarded as the International Comics Expo. So hopefully we'll get Shane on to talk about Ice.
It would be fascinating to speak with somebody who actually is in the trenches and has to go out there and get the advertising and pull the talent in, and the nuts and bolts, so that, because we've all had dreams of starting our own convention and having it take off and all of that, but what actually goes into that would be fascinating. It sounds Ice sounds a lot like kind of like SE NYC in terms of the talent and just pure comics.
Yeah.
Take out the NYCC ticket sale aspect of it. But
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'd very much recommend it. Okay, what we're going to do is talk about the panel lineup for NYCC in a second, but first we'll go to the Q&A. Thank you very much to everybody who's watching. Let's have a quick look at see what people are talking about at the moment. A lot of people talking about Force Friday and what they picked up. Corgi Commander asking, did any of you attend Force Friday, and if so, what did you score? Now, I am actually going to go to Michael on this one, because I did see a tweet from, oh yeah, I'm at the front of the line in New York, right at the front, and there in the picture, right at the front, wearing a Batman vs. Superman t-shirt, dude, at Force Friday? Really?
Yes. So I did participate in Force Friday. I live in New York, so I went to Times Square, New York, the Toys R Us in Times Square, which is, one of the biggest Times Squares, and they had some events. Actually, the Disney store a block up also had events, and I was debating which one to go into. But I met another friend of mine, Anand, who may be joining you in a few weeks, and we went to the all-day events in the Toys R Us Times Square, and it was fun. I started. They had all-day events. I worked that day, so I only got there about 5-ish, just in time for the little build and take. So if you went, they let you build a little a mini TIE fighter. I don't know if you could see it. So you built it, and you got to take it with you, kind of similar to the one that they had at Celebration. Then basically it was just hanging out until midnight. At 9 o'clock they started to give out the little freebies, which included, at Toys R Us, included a little brick that has the First Order Stormtrooper. I don't know if you could,
Yeah, we can see that.
Yep, and on the back it just says Toys R Us September 4th, which is a kind of nice little, memento.
Nice little memento, yeah.
Yeah, they also had little posters and a little character flashlight that has that's like shaped like Chewbacca, and it's just like a little flashlight. So they were giving out a lot of things. Actually, one surprising thing for me was, because we got there early, around 10:30, one of the Toys R Us employees comes out and he's like, "Do you want this wristband?" And we're like, "Well, what's the wristband for?" He's like, "I can't tell you, but you know, you may want the wristband."
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, well, you know, he's like, "You won't get to buy early, but do you want the wristband?" All right, fine, I'll take the wristband. So what happened is at 11 o'clock they ushered about 50 of us inside the store itself, and they had a small panel with and I'm gonna butcher their name, so give me 1 second. The owner and president of Rancho Obi-Wan. I'm drawing a blank, but I could get the name in a second. Hold on. Blah, blah, blah. What's his name? Steve Sansweet and Jeff Carlisle. They had a small little panel with those two guys.
I'm just gonna say, Steve Sansweet isn't. I mean, you'd say he runs the Rancho. He basically is kind of like, he's Star Wars uber fan.
Yeah,
he's the guy he's the guy that kind of like was buying the toys and all of the everything before they even, and he kind of like got hired by Lucasfilm to kind of like collate their own kind of museum, as it were. Oh, he's a big deal.
Yeah,
excellent. Oh, that's fantastic.
So it was like a small little 30-minute panel with him and Jeff Carlisle, who you know, does a lot of Star Wars art. And basically, they then ushered us to the very front of like a little line where we were like the first 20 people in the store waiting for the roped off area to be dropped down and we could purchase. I mean, no one else was in the store to buy, so there was no rushing, no nothing. And I shared it, but if maybe Alyssa could find it on, maybe I'll try to share it afterwards. There were 4 stormtroopers guarding the little area, and about 2 minutes to midnight, they started to dance and twerk, which
Of course they did.
So,
I'm trying to picture that, but then again, I'm still trying to picture John Barrowman in a TARDIS dress. So I've got all sorts of mental images going in my head. So
I'll share that in a moment. I just shared your review on High Def Ninja.
Yes, that at the bottom of that video has at the bottom of that article is the video of the twerking stormtroopers.
This was not a phrase I expected to hear at any point in this hangout, so thank you very much indeed. Okay, so I know that you're very big into your collecting and your toys. What did you get? What were you aiming for, and what did you get?
When I started online, my only goal was to get the Lego Poe Dameron X-Wing fighter. That was pretty much it. I really wanted to go to the midnight in Times Square just for the experience. I'm not a big Star Wars toys collectible, but I do like my Lego Star Wars stuff, so that was my #1 item to get. Online, I actually ended up talking to, surprisingly, one of the editors or writers for StarWars.com who was there, who was talking to me about some stuff and kind of convinced me to get the Rey's Speeder Lego also. And I will say, at 5 p.m., I didn't even know this thing existed, but by 11:30, it was on my buy list, the Sphero BB-8, and
You know what? When it comes to people selling you stuff, you're quite an easy mark, aren't you? All you have to do is, if you do find Michael and you want to sell him stuff, you say, "You want this, don't you?" And he will just go, "Yes."
It wouldn't just be you, but it's like the 50 other people. Listen, when Steve Sansweet says, that's the one thing I'm buying tonight, then you say, okay, then yeah, I'll buy that tonight too.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
My only issue is I've now discovered that my cell phone doesn't have the right app for the BB-8, so now I may have to now buy a new cell phone just to play with it.
It's mandatory, Mike. You got to do it. No choice.
You just heard right. Michael is up for buying a new phone to make sure that he can control his Sphero BB-8. That's dedication for you. I like that.
See, Alyssa just said buy a cell phone. Now I'll go out and I'll buy one. She didn't have to.
See, we told you. Oh man, it sounded like you had such a blast though.
It was worth it. I mean, originally I wasn't even sure I was going to do it. Some things worked out. My office had like a half day the next day because of the holiday. So I'm glad I was able to go through the whole day and experience it. It was worth it.
Excellent. I had a slightly different experience, but we'll go to Mark first, because you went to... Now, did you go the day after? Did you go to Forbidden Planet for the day after?
Yeah, I just went into London yesterday, really. What I was looking for was the Poe Dameron figure. That was the one thing that I kind of wanted on the Friday, and then obviously when they released all the pictures, the 3.75 didn't particularly look like him, and I didn't want the 20-inch size either. That's a little bit too big. So I was looking online, and there was a few pictures, not many, like 3 or 4, that's all you can see, of a Poe Dameron Black Series 7-inch figure. And I'm like, hey, that's the one I want. You can't get that anywhere. You cannot get that. I don't know if it's been... Well, it's been released somewhere because there's some on eBay, but people who I've spoken to on Twitter and also on Friends of CC forum have all said we've not seen this in the shops at all, so I don't know where this figure is. I don't know if it's been made up and somebody's just put it in a box to tease us. I don't know. But that was what I was looking for. And then, yeah, so I went to Forbidden Planet.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very quickly, no, just to rub it in, very quickly with my experience, I went to the Toys R Us in Leeds at the White Rose Shopping Centre. Here in the UK, we have not been celebrating Force Friday if you're outside of, I don't know, London or Glasgow or whatever. But the Disney stores had their fair share, and yes, the Poe Dameron was in there. Sorry, sir. If you'd have told me, I'd have picked you one up, but... You know.
Yeah. How convenient it is now,
know.
isn't it? Oh, I saw it, I didn't get it, what a shame. I told you today on Sunday, and yeah, right. Yeah, I went yesterday to Forbidden Planet just to sort of have a look, really, and see what there was. Was talking to one of the staff members, and I said to her, you know, did you open midnight? Yes, they opened midnight. They had about 40 people there in the queue who bought, she said, you know, they bought a reasonable amount, and they have... quite a large wall, probably about 20 feet long, that was full of stuff on Thursday night, and she said most of it had gone by Friday afternoon, and then when I was in there on Saturday, probably around 2 p.m, all that was left was a few Micro Machine box sets. That was it. Everything else had gone. So it seemed to do well, but obviously not as well as I think it did. But they were also saying that round the corner at another shop, the cinema store, they were having a sign-in as well, so they sort of lost a bit of trade to that.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did see the pictures of... now, was it the Toys R Us, or it was certainly the store in London, because you had both not Poe Dameron, you had Finn and you had Rey. You had John Bodea. I can never pronounce his surname. Is it John Bo... How was it?
No, I'm letting you do it. I'm just going to see how embarrassing this is.
No, okay. John Boyega.
That's
Yay!
it. Yeah.
Got it. I don't say Bodeo for some reason. Anyway, so John Boyega, and also the woman who's playing Rey, whose name escapes me for a second. I can't even pronounce her name because I can't even remember it off the top of my head. Daisy Ridley. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, don't ask me where that came from. Anyway, no, they were there, and they were having a blast from the periscopes they were putting up and the Instagrams. They were looking like they were having a great time. So no, in London certainly there were some stores that were really getting into it. But I went to the White Rose Shopping Centre about 2 hours before the doors opened at 8:30 in the morning, expecting 10, 15, 20 people to be in the queue. I was there with 3 others. And that was at 8:30 in the morning, and they had the full range in. Now, I went along just to kind of get an idea of what was on the shelves and see what was going on, and to take some pictures, talk to some people, at which point I did see the Sphero BB-8, and they had 8 of them in, and something snapped. Something just snapped inside of me. And yes, I bought the Sphero BB-8, and I also picked up four Funkos as well. I picked up the Finn, the Rey, the Kylo Ren, and also the Stormtrooper, First Force, the Stormtrooper. First Order Stormtrooper. So that was, and that pretty much cleaned out my bank account. So I walked away, and that was what I laid my hands on. Janine Lecaro is saying she managed to get the $150 BB-8 on Force Friday, and today picked up the $80 Target BB-8. You're going to have to tell me what that one's like, because I've been told it's a little bit minimal in what it does.
Oh, she's just bought it, and now all of a sudden you're saying, not sure.
No, this is the £80 Target version. I'm curious to see what I'm going to be posting a comparison between the two, which a friend of ours has done, and also picked up the Lego Millennium Falcon. Nice. There didn't really seem a lot of stock considering the hype the stores did. Thank you very much indeed for getting in contact with us on that one, Janine. Well, let's see what else we've got further down. Mike's review of Force Friday we are going to put in the comments in the YouTube and also on the Google Plus as well. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of bits and pieces in there. Other comments that have come through as well. This is from Craig Linders. Thank you very much indeed for getting in contact with us, Craig. My wife is labouring for Labour Day, and she said you freak her out every time she watches you Periscope from your car. Sorry about that. What can you do? I do apologise. Did you go to Force Friday, Alyssa? Did you pick anything up?
I did not, and I did not. I didn't even shop online. Are
you not a Star Wars aficionado?
I am. Well, I like Star Wars. I'm not going to say I don't, but I have been successfully weeding myself off of toys. And okay. I'm trying to wean myself off of exclusives too, and trying to save money for New York Con. I've got, as Mike said, C2E2 coming up, and then there's the desperate need for a new computer come Black Friday. You
mad and crazy fool! Why aren't you just making yourself incredibly skint like the rest of us? That's just ridiculous. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to then panic 2 months before an event.
Okay, can I bring? This was my purchase this week, was a new watch, because I lost my old one, so that was where my $100 and some odd dollars went this week.
Fair enough. Also, oh, Michael.
No, I was going to say I had deemed yesterday Sad Saturday. That's the day when you look at your credit card bill after Force Friday.
Yeah, that sounds about right. For us here in the UK, it's Monday morning, and you just saw like the cold glare of a Monday regret kicks in. Except I won't, because I'll be playing with BB-8 on the floor.
Yes.
And tormenting the cat. Because that's what... Look, I'm sorry, the two things that you think of is, number one, the technology in this thing is just astounding. You are basically getting a small version of that big thing that they are using in the film. This is amazing. That's the first thing you think. And then number two, where's the cat? Let's do this. And you chase the cat around with BB-8. It's a lot of fun. Craig Linders is saying also, Alyssa, tell us about what looks like new art behind you. Can't quite make out what it is.
It is... Batman Year One. Mike can help me. This is a Jacques, right?
Yeah, it's a Jacques.
Yeah. Can help me with that. And I'm trying to get it so that the glare goes off. I came out maybe about, I don't know, 9-10 months ago. And I got it framed recently, and I'm trying to figure out where to put it. That's my biggest problem, is what square 24 by 36 spot can I convince people that it needs new art on?
Excellent. So there you go, and I'm also liking the Watcher as well over your shoulder as well. That's very pretty.
Yeah, the classic. It's from a Hulk. That was just a no-brainer. Had to get that, whatever the cost. I'm looking at an Alexei Malov piece. He did a Daredevil piece for, I believe, the Fan Expo in Canada, which is happening this weekend too. Really gorgeous. I'll put the link up on the Q&A in a moment. But I'm hoping to get one of those if I can afford it. Speaking of going broke for New York Con, that may be my big purchase there. But it's an amazing Daredevil, real black, real dark.
Leonard,
Oh, yes?
before you move away a little bit too far from Force Friday, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, was, because you didn't bring it up, is actually the Disney stores had some nice stuff too.
Okay.
The Disney stores have these actual die-cast figures, which I hear are really nice and are produced to scale, so within their size, they're all different. Like, not every guy is going to be the same height, but they're produced to the actor's height, and they're all die-cast metal figures within, I think, like $15 to $25 range, which I've seen one or two of them. I saw the Finn figure. They had sold out very quickly, but that's something that if you're collecting and you weren't sure what else is out there, check out a Disney store. They're really kind of nice. And
I enjoyed going to the Disney store to pick up my bits and pieces. I was impressed by how much they put up on the shelves. And yes, the Disney stuff was very, very cool.
And to Alyssa, who doesn't want to collect Star Wars, what about when Mondo has their Force Awakens?
Oh, I'm there. I'll totally be there. There's no, yeah, absolutely. I can't. It's the art up on the walls. I've got probably a half dozen spaces that I can fit more in, unbeknownst to the family.
Okay.
They don't watch this.
Fair enough. I would also quickly talking about art. I'd also like to thank somebody who sent me a piece a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Drew Struzan and obviously the artwork that he did for Star Wars Celebration. He did the poster, which obviously we may be seeing a bigger version of when the actual film comes out. But we were talking about Drew Struzan, talking about my love for the guy's work, and Kerry, Alaska Rainbow on Twitter, who I know from San Diego Comic Con, sent me a piece of work that was part of the DreamWorks panel for How to Train Your Dragon 2. Drew was on the panel, and he'd done a quite large print for How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is just absolutely gorgeous. And she sent it to me pretty much out of the blue. Kerry, thank you very much indeed. I am so touched by your generosity on that. It is a stunning, and it is going to take pride of place on a wall. Thank you very much indeed. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. Right, let's see what else we can talk about. Well, very quickly, we'll talk about next week, and indeed the next couple of weeks of what's coming up, because we're going to do a little bit of a chat about something which is not con-related as such in a second, but just to very quickly talk about the Hangouts. We are going to be talking to some very interesting special guests in the next couple of weeks. Next week, we're going to be looking at Granite State Comic Con, and like Alyssa says, this is going to be the one regarding comics grading and also collecting. We have Brittany McManus from CGC who's going to be joining us. Really looking forward to that. And okay, so help me out with the pronunciation of his surname. Is it Anant Chinsel?
I don't know.
I think that's
but
right.
Anant, that's the big one.
Yes. You're really looking for. That's the one where I'm going to be shutting up and Alyssa's going to be hosting the show. Warren Penner is going to be joining us as well. It's going to be very much about collecting comics. It's something I'm interested in as well, because I've just gotten back into my collecting of my comics over the last sort of 12 months or so. So very interested to see what it takes to actually get a collection up and running and get it collected and graded right. On the 20th of September, we're going to be talking to Flicks in the City. Hopefully we'll be having Mark Serby back for that one as well. Good friends with those two. And then we start our New York Comic Con stuff. On the 27th of September, we're going to be talking to Mike Armstrong from New York Comic Con. Very much looking forward to that conversation. The week after, on the 4th of October, is going to be with Cameron Duell from Funko, who's going to be talking about what is leading up to NYCC. And then on the 4th, it is, I mean, we're talking, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, guys. So
This is why I wanted to talk about the panels.
let's do that then.
Although
let's
they
do it.
haven't really been announced yet, I mean, some of them have been announced, but not the big ones. I mean, is that your sense too, Mike? That the big panels?
I'm seeing some decent middle-sized panels, but nothing extremely large yet. Seeing some.
Not the Daredevils and not the George Clooney panel, that was last year, nor there's the Firefly panel on Saturday, which looks, which.
I will say the main stage panel room is looking very sparse. They basically released the panels, what they have available to the public this week. And there's some good stuff in there, but if you look, you could sort by the main stage room, and there's a lot of free space. So I'm still expecting some really good stuff to come out. Some things that I've noticed, I like the Firefly. There's going to be a Firefly reunion panel. So far they have Nathan Fillion, Gina Rodriguez, and I want to say someone else, but I can't remember.
Mal, I thought it was Mal, Kaylee, and
yes, Kaylee, Jewel Staith, yes,
and Gina.
Yes.
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 Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But the thing that actually intrigues me is that on Friday on the Empire stage they have Con Man with Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion. So Alan Tudyk is supposedly at New York Comic Con too, but he's not yet listed on the Firefly reunion. So I'm kind of thinking he might still get added in,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
It seemed really fairly weak. And the other thing about that Con panel is that Con Man panel is that it's opposite the Walking Dead.
Yes, I know.
Like San Diego, they're starting to make you choose, I think. And I think that this is a plan on their part. Unless it's true that Alan can't be there on Saturday for other previous commitments, so he couldn't book the panel in on Saturday, late Saturday afternoon.
Maybe.
I can imagine as well that if Conman has been scheduled, that's going to be his priority. At the end of the day, he's the chief creative for that program, for that web series. He's the guy that set it all up. That's his baby. At the end of the day, when you put something together yourself, that's the one that takes precedence.
What worries me the most is the empty Friday spot on the main stage right now. What's going on the main stage running up against The Walking Dead? That's what's going to be interesting. I want to know what's there.
Yeah.
To my mind, there was 3 or 4 smaller panels that really intrigued me, and it seems like the caliber of medium level panels, which is what got released, has cranked up a notch. There's one of the panels has got a bunch of astronauts telling real life stories about the space station, and to my mind, we wouldn't have gotten those kinds of that kind of a panel last year or the year before. Sure. It seems like that there's a few other panels that are of much better quality than I saw before. Was that your general sense, Mike?
I also noticed, like last year they worked with Disney. This year I think they're working with Cinemax a little bit more, because they did bring out three new shows from Cinemax, or not 3 new shows, but they're bringing 3 shows from Cinemax. They're bringing Banshee, which is going to have Eliza Dushku in it, which I'll get back to that point in a few minutes. That looks pretty good. They have the new Outcast show, which is going to be produced by Robert Kirkman, and that looks pretty good. And I think there was one more show, but now I'll have to find it. I'm on their website, and it's.
I know that they're one of the big headliners as well is the Game of Thrones lineup as well, which with Natalie Dormer that's been.
Natalie Dormer and the guy who plays Sir Lawrence Lawrence. I forget his name. Sorry. That looks good.
This is where Mark is supposed to jump in as the reference of our episodes.
Sadly
Ben
not.
Jones and Keisha Castle Hughes. I have the panel listing up.
When we talk about these panels, if you can also mention the days they're on as well, so people.
Oh yes, that's Thursday. Actually, and to get to Thursday, the Thursday on the Empire stage is actually something that you could almost see spending a large portion of your day in. They have AMC's Comic Book Men starting at noon, which will have Kevin Smith, which I actually almost want to do because I feel sorry for abandoning him at San Diego. So like kind of like my mea culpa, I'll go in and I'll be like front row. I'll be like, I'm here, I like you. You know, you're not, you know, nothing. I do, you know, it's just Star Wars. And then they have Star Wars Rebels, which actually, an interesting thing I saw that I think Riot Girl on the Friends of CCI posted, and she caught that, is I think Sarah Michelle Gellar must have a new part on Star Wars Rebels, and she let a hint out that she may actually be at New York Comic Con and at that Star Wars panel. And that, to me, would be a pretty big get for them. You know, and especially if Elijah Dushku's there, and you have a lot of, you know, Buffy fans and a little bit of maybe a photo op opportunity. I don't know, you know, that could do very well for the Buffy fans.
And for the Bring It On fans as well. Let's not forget.
Yes.
We're all fans of that. Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're kind of showcasing your own fandoms there.
It's a good film. Thank you very much. I don't know what you mean.
I watched it for the first time on Tuesday last week. It was a film. Okay. I'm going through actually, and I'm spotting a couple of panels that I'd really like to head to. But I would have been absolutely stuck for this one because this is on Saturday at 11:30. You've got the Firefly reunion, which, as somebody who went to the anniversary panel, the 10th anniversary at Comic-Con 2-3 years back, it doesn't matter who's going to be on stage. That is always a fun panel to go to. But at 11:15 in room 1A10, you have all new, all different Marvel. And frankly, I'm finding any panels to do with what the comics industry, especially the big two, are planning to do. Because at the end of the day, they've done it. They've last couple of years they've rolled the dice and it hasn't quite landed, and they have to do something because a lot of medias, film, television, are depending on these core businesses to work. And if all different Marvel is definitely something that's very risky that Marvel are going to be doing. Any of the smaller panels that are kind of jumping out at you two?
I have to go through it a little more closely because I knew it was just going to be like a basic panel listing, so I kind of skimmed it over, looked at some of the bigger stuff, but nothing smaller yet. An interesting thing to me to note, actually not even with the smaller panels, is that it seems that New York Comic Con is now working with the Hammerstein Ballroom to have some panels outside of New York Comic Con. So they're kind of doing almost like the campus in a sense, with, you know, where you have panels in the Indigo Ballroom and you have panels here that aren't even in, you know, the convention center. So on Saturday they have, what is it, Boruto, the Naruto movie at the Hammerstein. That's on Saturday. I think they're also going to have stuff Friday and maybe Sunday. I'm not sure exactly which days, but it's just interesting to see that they've now partnered outside of the convention center, but for not just for New York Super Week, but for New York Comic Con itself. Like, in order to get there, you have to have your New York Comic Con badge.
That's interesting. No, it is, because it's like you say, they're expanding beyond the actual convention center themselves. And when you do that, then you might actually be able to, I don't know, turn around and say that you're the biggest convention going. That might be. I'm gonna get so much trouble for that.
Yes, you will.
We've invited Mike on. What the hell am I doing? Oh man. Okay. I'm tired. Okay. That's my excuse. Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for that. Like I say, anything else on New York Comic Con at the moment? So we're just kind of waiting for the spots to kind of fill up.
There's one that caught my eye, and it's on Friday at around 2 o'clock. Iron Man and the Avengers. Iron Man takes flight into a new era of Marvel Comics. Exciting announcements. 411 on a whole slew of new titles. That kind of interested me. Marguerite Bennett, Nick Spencer. Isn't Marguerite Bennett on the Marvel CC? Marvel Comic. What do they call it? What is that, Marvel CC?
Yeah, I know what you mean. The Creative Committee.
Yes, the disbanded.
No.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering how that, because they're also talking about Ant-Man. So is this going to be exclusively the comics, or are they going to talk about any of the movie? Since the movie division has obviously split off.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in a second. That's going to be the next.
Well, I thought it was a good segue into.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, thanks for that. Excellent.
Also, I think they have some decent ABC panels. I think they have the Shadow Hunters, which is based off of a book series, Mortal Instruments, and then they have Pretty Little Liars, which is interesting. But actually, outside of just the convention, this week, if anyone's going, I'll be going to the Defend Beer Party at the Brooklyn Brewery. So if you're there, you'll see me. New York Comic Con hosts usually 3 events leading up to the show, and one is at a brewery where you get to have beer, and it's free.
There is one very interesting panel, and I wish that I could read the bit about it. It's talking about the industry of conventions and of comics and conventions, and I'll post a link for it. I'm going to continue to look for it and post a link for it, but that's one that I'm particularly interested in going to. If you're at all forward thinking and have I hesitate to say a stake in the industry, but are interested in where the industry may be going, I think that's a benefit to go to. Get with me, PM me, and I'll send out that link to you, and I'm going to post it in the how-to. That's the one that I must go to.
Excellent.
I already do have one other must go to.
Go on.
Sunday afternoon, the Talkback panel.
Oh, absolutely, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
They put that up there, and I think I will be front and center.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's mandatory. It's just like the Comic-Con, the one. The difference between the New York panel and the San Diego panel is that the San Diego panel you line up, so you've got to stand there for the queue. The New York one, you raise your hand. So it's a little, I hesitate to say a little less democratic. But it's different than doing the full-on queue. And I don't know which one I like better, because one you get to sit and the other one you don't. So.
Okay. I mean, I'm very curious about the panel you were talking about, the industry of cons, because I think it very much ties in to the panel we did at Comic-Con in that it's very much about what is effectively the rise of con culture. That's interesting to me. So yeah, that's cool.
I had tried to bookmark all of my panels. However, the app and computer are not talking very well yet. I'm sure they will talk better later. And I did not want to resort to old school. So.
Right. We're at, well, I mean, like I say, in about 2 weeks' time, we are really going to start ramping up our coverage of NYCC, and lots of things that are going to be, we are, like I say, going to be talking to Mike Armstrong, who is from Reed Pop about NYCC, and then we're going to be talking to Cameron Duell. We'll hopefully try and get a couple more extra guests in as well to talk about what is going to be happening in New York. Looking forward to it. Right, we're at an hour, which kind of, we filled an hour, which is great. But this is where I do kind of ask, do we want to talk about this subject that was kind of on the docket, and we have kind of touched on as well. This was just to discuss about the impact of the separation of Marvel Studios from Marvel Entertainment and directly underneath the Disney umbrella. Shall we go for a show of hands? Do we want to talk about this particular topic?
I'm interested in it.
So I know that you were kind of you're not too sure about the mechanics of what's happening behind the scenes. What about yourself, Mark? I mean, have you been following this story?
I mean, I saw something in the press earlier this week, but until, you've got to give it 12, 18 months before you really see what's actually happened with the split. So I don't think you're going to see much now. This is the thing. And obviously with Marvel not having any films out at the moment, it could be different.
That's the thing, you see, because the reason why I certainly am of interest to this story, because while that decision was made, or it was announced this week that Kevin Feige would be directly reporting to Disney as kind of like a separate entity in itself, separate from Marvel Entertainment, the main effect has been about the dissolution of the Marvel Creative Committee, which is what Alyssa was referring to. Mm-hmm. Now, this was most recently consisting of President Al Fine, publisher Dan Buckley, Chief Creative Officer Joe Quesada, and writer Brian Bendis, all supported by the Marvel CEO Isaac Perlmutter. Now, these guys were designed, or the committee was designed to provide a conduit between the core Marvel industry, their comics, their characters, and provide notes to Marvel Studios to allow them a continuity and a flow between the two media types. However, the complaint that Kevin Feige put forward was that a number of the notes were very pedantic, that they were showing up late when they really wanted to carry on forward with the production of the films. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, this actually happened, this split actually happened quite some time ago. That dissolution of that committee happened months ago. So it all kind of affected what we've seen this summer in terms of Tron and also Ant-Man. And it's very interesting, there was a post on Bleeding Cool which did talk about whether these notes were actually kind of beneficial, and whether Kevin Feige has just kind of used what they consider the failure of Avengers: Age of Ultron to kind of wrest control of Marvel Studios. Let me put this to you, and as part of the Bleeding Cool statement. After talking to Disney sources and relying on some public knowledge, for better or worse, these are the films that the creative committee most influenced: Iron Man, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and Captain America: Civil War. Indeed, from that original Iron Man film, comic creators were brought in by the MCC to work on the film. Bendis wrote that first post-credit scene with Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury. The films that the committee had the least or no influence on was Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, and Avengers: Age of Ultron. Also, it's somewhere in the middle was Hulk, Ant-Man, and the Thors. And I do quite like the way that he's this is Rich Johnson has put, what conclusions you may draw from that are your own. In other words, were the committee actually a good thing to run for Marvel? What do you think, Mark?
With
those titles put in front of you.
Well, it's a mixed bag. The titles that you've told me there, some of them are very good. Some of them are very poor. I've got no qualms in saying which ones either. It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird that they would do Iron Man, but not Iron Man 2 and 3. But they would do all of Captain America. I don't know. The problem is it's a studio, and you're gonna get interference from every single level. It's you can't get away from it. That's the whole point. So another level of interference, well, that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, regardless of Kevin Feige not having to report to these people now, he's still got to report to somebody at Disney, and the House of Mouse, they don't like things done differently. They like it very squeaky clean. So I don't see much difference, really. I mean, it doesn't particularly bother me that much. It's what's on screen. That's what bothers me.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think certainly the conversation that's been taking part this week is the whole business of the interference, and also Isaac Perlmutter's contribution, or Ike. I see where you're going in terms of what the actual end result will be in terms of who reports to who. To be honest, I find it interesting that this story first started as a kind of first salvo of a PR kind of civil war itself within Marvel that put Kevin Feige in the kind of, I've been so hard done by. I wanted to make these films, but they were holding me back. That's kind of been the pitch of the statement. Next thing you know, there's been all sorts of backwards and forwards over this last week, and certainly I think Ike Perlmutter has not been too appreciative of the fact that he's been painted in the role of the bad guy. So there's been lots of reply emails and stories saying that no, like Bleeding Cool say, we actually served a purpose. It's got to be said, however, from my perspective, whatever anyone says, it's going to take a lot to convince me that Ike Perlmutter has not been the baddie in this entire scenario. If anything, because of the emails that came out of the Sony debacle, stating that Ike himself did not believe, or does not believe, that female-led films will make any money whatsoever. And he is also the prime reason why you never saw any Black Widow toys on the shelf. It was all about the boys.
So Perlmutter is with the film. He's now in charge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. MCU.
No. He's with Marvel Entertainment. He's with Marvel Entertainment.
Okay.
It was basically Perlmutter at the top with Marvel Entertainment, and then Kevin Feige reporting to Ike.
Okay, so
then you had President Alan Fine right at the very top, and you had then Quesada and Bendis kind of all throwing in there.
Here's the thing. I mean, I totally agree with you about the whole Black Widow and the toys and all of that sort of stuff, but the core central issue of all of the films that you listed, and what made them so great, was the story. And I don't think that the House of Mouse and the Marvel Cinematic Universe can get that same level of writing innovation that the comic creators can do. And by dismantling all of the MCC people, I don't see how we're going to get the cutting edge movies that we had before.
I think the comics guys do bring a sense of story. I think I totally agree that. But it's then when you have a guy that is not wanting to tell a certain bunch of stories, that's where I have some issues, because we're still waiting on a proper female-led superhero movie, and considering that we have a guy that then refers to Catwoman and refers to a bunch of other films as well, and saying no, they failed. I was right, you were wrong, we shouldn't do this and that. I think a number of people may be watching this and wondering why we're talking about it. For me, it's more a case of these companies have now invested in superhero movies and the superhero genre up to 2020 and beyond. In other words, if we have a fracture, if it all starts falling apart now, there's whole businesses which are relying on these characters and this structure.
So they're going to play it safe. So if we hand it over to the House of Mouse, they're going to play it safe, and we're not going to get the Captain America 2, which was
I mean, in Edward Snowden and all of that sort of stuff, we aren't going to get that kind of edgy dramas that we had before. It's all going to be whitewashed. And Iron Man 3, that's what I'm scared of, because I'll stop. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big movie fan. I don't go to a lot of movies. I love them dearly, but I don't go to a lot of them. But I'll stop going to movies if it's going to be Iron Man 3 repeatedly. I mean, we don't need that.
I liked Iron Man 3.
and Mark is laughing at me. That was the epitome, to my mind, of bad superhero movies.
Alyssa, the reason why... Yeah, no...
I liked Iron Man 3.
No, Alyssa is right. And I'll tell you why she's right. It's because it's not a superhero movie. It is not a superhero movie. It's a Shane Black movie set at Christmas, and there is about 15 minutes of superheroes in it. It's a Shane Black Christmas movie. It's not a superhero movie. So Alyssa is right. Leonard, you are completely wrong. And that's the end of the show. Brilliant.
Can we end now, please? Thank you.
Listen. Can I say, at San Diego Comic-Con, myself and the Horsepersons of the Nerdpocalypse, part of the Nerd Truth team, we sat there, we got drunk, we watched Iron Man 3, and they just gave me such a kicking, because, yes, it was all about how bad this film was, and I was having to defend myself for 2 hours. I've done my defending of Iron Man 3 now. Tony
I mean... Compare it to the theme and message of Captain America 2, whose name is escaping me at the moment because the brain thing. But I mean, it's night and day, and there's an actual story and a motivation, and you invest in the characters in Captain America 2, and so that's what I'm scared of with the dissolution of the MCC. Just to bring it all around.
Trevor Slattery, I salute you. You will always be my Mandarin for Iron Man. So thank you very much indeed. Okay, thank you very much. I think we will wrap it up there with me on the floor, bleeding and suffering from kicking. How would you like to give these T-shirts away, Alyssa?
Oh, you got a randomizer? Oh, we didn't do anything. We didn't do it.
We haven't done anything. I think what we'll do is we'll do it over between. We'll do a random draw next Sunday. So what we need now is a question. Go on then. Think of something that we can do. Oh no! Think of a hashtag.
I'm awful at this. I am on the spot. Last ship hashtag. How about are you immune too? I think that's the. And I will actually. Is it up here?
It is indeed. Yeah. Are you immune to? So there you go. It's up on the screen. All you have to. Well, this is where we desperately hope that they haven't already got this as a hashtag somewhere, and we're just going to hijack it for a week. Are you? So that's 2 letters. Are you immune to? You don't even have to put you don't have to send it to Englishman SDCC. We're going to search for that hashtag. And we're going to randomly choose 2 people next week to send that to. Okay? It's worldwide.
Just add Iron 3 to the end of it. Are you immune to Iron Man 3?
No! No! Leave me alone. Okay. Are you immune to? There you go. That's the hashtag. So if you could send that to us, we'll next week do a random draw. 2 people will get those T-shirts for free, and we'll mail them out to you.
Size medium.
Size medium. So, excellent. Thank you very much indeed to my guests once again. Thanks to Michael. Thanks for coming along, sir.
Good to be here. Looking forward to the upcoming Hangouts.
It's going to be fun, isn't it? Where can people find you online?
They can find me at FOCC, at High Def Ninja, and on Twitter. My handle is the same at all 3. It's MLLNY.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Mark, as always, thank you so much for jumping in. Not at the end, by the way. That you could have just left me alone, but thank you. Where can people find you, Mark?
I'm on Friends of CC forum. chatting about there. I'm on Twitter, as you can see my Twitter handle there, and I'm also on the radio every Thursday night here in the UK, but you can listen around the world because I always tweet out a link, so you can listen then.
Excellent. Just in case you're listening to the audio version, the hashtag is, the Twitter handle is Mark_Serby. So there you go. Excellent. And Alyssa, holding up your Venom cup. That looks so evil.
I'm on friendsofccforum.com. Alyssa, tweet PM me and or I'll post the link to that panel about at New York Comic Con with regards to the industry.
Excellent. And once again, that hashtag for the 2 T-shirts that Alyssa's giving away, Are You Immune 2? So there you go. It's a letter R, letter U, Immune 2. So there you go. Let's see if she holds it up again. There you go. So we've got 2 of those to give away. Excellent. And myself, it's Englishman SDCC. You can also find me if you just type into Google Englishman in San Diego. I'm pretty much anywhere. Tomorrow I'm going to be working on a whole bunch of new pull lists, so there's going to be a whole bunch of new books out on Wednesday. Looking forward to the Image releases, so very much looking forward to seeing what they come up with. I'm also waiting desperately to find out, I think I know what the release date is, but I'm looking forward to Scotty Young's release on Image, I Hate Fairyland. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be good. So thank you very much indeed for joining us. Back again next week. We are talking comic grading. So if you're interested in getting into collecting, or if indeed you're just getting started and you want to know the best way to get into getting your books professionally graded, we're going to have CGC joining us on the Hangout. It's going to be fun. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And from all of us, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.